Michael Busch made history for the Cubs. He hit his 30th home run. We're going to get into the significance of what Michael Busch has accomplished quietly, flying under the radar as one of the Cubs' best players. Nico Hoerner chasing a batting title. He's getting close. Are you concerned that the Cubs, after sweeping the Pirates, have lost 3 straight? We got a Kyle Tucker injury update and more, including Daniel Palencia with a rehab assignment, and Jaxon Wiggins getting some work for the Iowa Cubs last night as well. All that right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, make fun of the Cardinals because they didn't make it this year. And let's talk a little Cubs baseball. Thanks, guys. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Cubs Baseball Channel. Great to see you guys here. I think I say this a lot, but maybe if this is your first time, I've been a Cubs fan for a long time, and I've worked with the organization for a long time. And when they win, I'm happy, and when they lose, it stinks. And last night's loss was, I don't know how significant it is. I mean, at this point, I can't see a scenario where the Cubs don't end up clinching home field advantage for that first round matchup against the Padres. The Reds are playing for something. The Cubs are, I mean, I guess they are too, but maybe just trying to get all the pieces to fit, which I mentioned that was going to be the case, that they were going to try to work different guys in, but it's concerning when, you get the lead and you can't hold on to it, right? And last night's game was another one of those games. They're giving up all these home runs. And the offense without Kyle Tucker just seems at times just so flat, like a dead fish. Hey, there's my QR code, right? AveD, Mick Nation, giving away playoff tickets, hopefully to Wrigley Field. I think they're going to be there. Anyway, make sure you sign up. Everything's free. You get to go on there and play games, and you can win money and different stuff. But appreciate you guys for being a part of it. So let's talk about the Cubs. All right, on the good front, okay? Magic number still 4 to clinch that top wild card spot. It is 4, and I put on there when recording because I don't know when you guys are watching. And then every time somebody comments, they're like, well, it was really 3. It's 4 right now. It's 4, as far as my understanding. Now, I'm not a math major, but any combination of 4 wins or 4 Padres losses, and the Cubs will clinch the wild card home field advantage, the 4th seed. Michael Busch, this guy's quietly having a tremendous season. And what's crazy is that we really don't talk about him enough. This was a guy that the Cubs got from the Dodgers. Great trade for the Cubs, because you're talking about a Dodger team that has an abundance of players, right? They went out, they bought a bunch of players, and Michael Busch would have been their first baseman of the future, but you got Freddie Freeman, and a lot of people feel like Freddie Freeman's going to be a Hall of Famer. And so the Cubs got him, and I mean, he just scorched AAA. And this year, I mean, you look at this guy's numbers, he's hitting .255. He's got a .335 on base percentage, but 30 home runs and 82 runs batted in for Bushy. And I mean, and he's starting to hit now. We need somebody to hit now, because the Cubs haven't really had anybody that's been that consistent at the plate, it seems like, recently. Well, him and Nico, right? Got to get some guys going again. But Busch is the first Cub to hit 30 home runs, and we need Pete Crow Armstrong to hit one more, and he'll be there too. He's got 29. He's the first Cub to hit 30 home runs since Kyle Schwarber did it in 2019. Schwarbs did it, so did Chris Bryant. I think Schwarber had 37, Bryant had 31. It's kind of crazy to think it's been that long. But then another thing that's pretty interesting is that in the history of Cubs baseball, according to Marquee, he's only the 6th first baseman to hit 30 home runs. So I wonder if I just threw that up as a trivia question, how many of you guys would be able to get that? Because I kind of nailed it right off the bat. I was like, okay, I think I could do this, right? If he's the sixth, that means there's 5 others that have done it. Okay. Anyway, let me throw it out there for you. Anthony Rizzo, Derek Lee, the crime dog, Fred McGriff. He'd be the tough one. And then Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks, of course, right? 500 home runs. He did it a lot. But Rizzo was the last Cub to do it. In 2017, he hit 32. And then Derek Lee did it a bunch. D. Lee hit 32 in 04. In 05, he hit 46. Man, that's crazy. And then in 09, he hit 35. Ernie Banks had a bunch of 30 home run seasons, right? 62 and 68. And he hit 500 home runs. And then Fred McGriff, the crime dog, Hall of Famer now, by the way. And he had 1 full season with the Cubs before being traded to Tampa Bay midway through the 21 season. And now Michael Busch in his 2nd season with the Cubs has accomplished that. So I think that if the Cubs are going to make a real run at the postseason, that Bushy's got to be one of those guys that is able to drive in some guys and make some things happen. Now, the second part of this is the Kyle Tucker injury update. You guys know he was sent back to, or he went back to Tampa where he's from, and he saw a specialist for calf injuries there. And basically what Craig Counsell's saying, had a good day yesterday. They expect him to start to run and get into some games at Wrigley Field when the Cubs kind of finish up these last 6 games starting on Monday. So you got the Cubs playing the Reds today. That's a day game. And then finish out the month with 3 against the Mets. I say Monday, make that Tuesday. And then the last 3 games of the season are against the Cardinals. So 6 games left. And they think Tucker's going to start running, and then they're going to get him in some games, and he's going to have to be ready to go in October. The question I have is, if you're Kyle Tucker, how willing are you to push this? Right? And have you done enough to get that colossal contract at the end of the year? And so you're a free agent at the end of the year. You're projected to make, some people say, between $400,000, $400 million, and $600 and maybe more million. So are you going to go out there and risk it if you don't feel 100%? I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to or not, but it's a question that I certainly have. And the Cubs gave up a ton to get him, and I got to tell you, he's great when he's healthy. He really is. I'm not doubting that at all. So we'll see what happens. Really interesting, though, that you got basically 7 days, 6 games to get this thing figured out. Is that enough time? And he's been on the shelf since the 2nd of the month. And I felt like that, that he should have been on the IL sooner. They should have put Owen Casey out there. Casey's dealing with concussions. We don't even know if he's coming back or not. And the Cubs are going to need somebody to play right field. Moises Ballesteros, somebody that can definitely platoon and play DH, but he doesn't play the outfield. And Seiya Suzuki, I don't know what happened to him, but he's fallen off a cliff. And, just reading reports, and this, we'll probably do a show on this maybe for Monday, but maybe Seiya Suzuki traded, maybe Miguel Amaya traded by the Cubs, and, maybe some other guys traded in the offseason. It's going to be interesting to see what the Cubs do with this roster, but hopefully it's a World Series roster and not a one and done, right? So we'll see. But they don't expect to really have any news on Tucker until next week. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Now, on the other side of things, Nico Hoerner chasing a batting title. And basically what he's got to do is he's got to bat 400 from now until the end of the season. And if he does that, he can get the hits that he needs to overcome the lead that he's trying to track down. Basically, Trey Turner of the Phillies has a 305 average, but he's got a hamstring injury, so he's out. And Nico's trying to get him down and catch up. And for a guy who has, kind of one of the, the weaker exit velo for hits, Nico Hoerner. And I laugh because there's just people that love that stat. And it's like, if you get hits, right? He can win the batting title. There's only two guys that have a 300 average or plus. So 301 for Nico, 305 for Turner. So he's just got to keep going. He can't have any offers. And he had a 2-for-4 game. Had a nice infield hit, but got to get hits, and really what you want to see is just have that one really big game, get tied, and then win it on the last day. That'd be fun. Magic number did not change. It's still 4 right now to clinch that top wild card spot. Cubs got to win. I don't think the Padres, even though the Padres did pick up a game on the Cubs yesterday, I just can't. The Padres are struggling just like the Cubs. It's going to be a really interesting matchup with San Diego because their starting pitching maybe has some holes. Cubs starting pitching has been great, but the bats have holes. Does that help them or does that help the Cubs? Like maybe the pitching will be good against the Cubs, even though it hasn't been great against other teams. Cubs starting pitching has been really solid. And the Cubs right now, unlike you're looking at the Reds in this series, they're doing everything they can to win because they have to. And the Reds are kind of sneaking back in to the race, right? But the Reds need this game today a lot more than the Cubs do. Although it does make you nervous a little bit when you're like, hey, are the Cubs ever going to win? Two guys to keep an eye on pitched in Iowa. Jaxon Wiggins, not a good outing. He pitched for the Iowa Cubs. He was the starter. And I say that because he couldn't throw strikes. 74 pitches, only 40 strikes for Wiggins. He still didn't get hit hard, right? 4 innings, 3 hits, and 3 earned runs, but 4 walks and 6 strikeouts. If you're the Cubs, and I think that there has to be consideration on bringing him up. Now, he's only been a starter. I'd use him out of the bullpen if I needed him, but he's got to throw strikes. And, is that a one-off or, since you just don't know. What you hope, though, is he tired? That's why they kind of slowed him down. He's a long shot to be on the big league roster. That didn't help him at all. If he had a dominant performance, it makes it a lot easier to say, you know what, maybe we're going to use this guy. Now, Daniel Palencia pitched, and I think this is really good news for the Cubs. In the outing, he pitched 2/3 of an inning. He gave up 2 hits and an unearned run. He gave up a double and a single, and then the catcher made a throwing error that allowed a run to score. Then he had a couple of strikeouts. But what I really like is he was pounding the zone. 21 pitches, 15 strikes. They'll be keeping an eye on how the shoulder feels after this outing. But if the Cubs could get him back for the postseason and he's healthy, I think that would be just great for the Cubs as they move forward. Okay, roster move. You guys probably know this one already. Jordan Wicks up, Porter Hodge down. Hodge, to me, I mean, he's had a couple of good outings, but he looks like what we saw of him in the minor leagues. He's just inconsistent. When he's good, he can be great. When he got to the big leagues, I was, kind of pleasantly surprised at the success that he had. So now it's trying to find that again. But we saw him. We know he can do it. Just got to get back there. And I don't know when that's going to happen. Now, Jordan Wicks, he was really good when he first got to the big leagues, and it's time for him to kind of find that again. He's got the change up. He can get outs. He's just got to do it. And the Cubs could really use Wicks to kind of be the pitcher that we saw him in Iowa perform like here recently. So, just as they try to find answers, it'd be great to see, Wicks be one of those answers. I really like him. He's just a really good guy. And on top of that, can be a very good pitcher. All right, Cubs and Reds to wrap up the series. Cubs trying not to get swept by Cincinnati. And Cincinnati, if they sweep, you talk about the wild card standings, and I'm going to talk about those, but let me tell you the matchup first. Andrew Abbott, 9-7, 288 ERA for Cincinnati. This guy can really pitch. Jameson Taillon for the Cubs, 10-6 with a 3.93 ERA. And he was very good his last outing. And he's a big talker, too, and I like that. He's talking about the Cubs making some noise in the postseason. And that's coming soon. But I was talking about the significance of this game for the Reds. The Mets have been just scuffling. And every time somebody gets close, and that's the Reds now, within a game, the team that is like the Diamondbacks did it, the Giants did it, all of a sudden they just kind of fall off. So we'll see if the Reds are legitimately a contender. Mets are 80-75, Reds are 79-76. But the thing about it is, like, it's one thing to be a game back, but the problem is that you got a week left. And are you going to be able to? It took you, winning 3 straight against the Cubs to kind of get into this position, and 6 out of 10. But that 4-game winning streak for Cincinnati has gotten them kind of back in this race again. Can they continue to do it? And the Cubs hope that the answer is no, because they want to beat them today. Then the final 6 games at Wrigley, then the postseason. Hopefully those games will be at Wrigley as well. Guys, thanks for hanging with us here on the channel. Again, playoff tickets, Cubs at Wrigley Field. We're going to give away a set of them. We've also got hats and shirts that we're going to be giving away too. Make sure you're part of D Community. Get in the comment section. Tell me what you guys think about this team and the series and everything else. And thanks. Like and subscribe. Share with your friends. I know it kind of feels like right now, like you're going, I'm just not that excited about this team. And it's because the offense hasn't hit. It's because they just play sometimes a very boring brand of baseball. Got to get Tucker back. But a lot of times you'll see teams like this that kind of just are on cruise control. They get into the postseason and then something happens. Maybe PCA gets hot. Maybe they get Tucker back and he does something. I don't know. But the year that the Rangers won the World Series, did anybody see that coming? You just got to get hot at the right time, and they have the roster. I see a lot of good teams in the National League, but I don't see any besides the Dodgers, just because of all the money they spent, any sure shot. And I think the Cubs could be that year where the Cubs kind of catch lightning in a bottle, like the Nationals did in 2019. All right, guys, thanks for being here. And again, make sure that you like and subscribe, thumbs up, get in the comments section, and let's do it again tomorrow. Go Cubs.